Heartwarming reveal: injured girl's incredible ultrasound transforms billionaire's life forever. Grace's heart raced like the hooves of her beloved horses galloping across the fields. Just 12 years old, she was already the heartbeat of her small Midwest town. Each day she arrived home to help with their modest farm, nursing injured animals back to health, and dreaming of a world where her family could thrive without worry. But burdened by debts and her own medical struggles, her world had recently spiraled into the abyss. An accident while tending to a baby deer left her with a severe injury, and today, they rushed her to the hospital for a critical ultrasound that could change everything. Meanwhile, Jack, a billionaire with the city glitz and luxury at his fingertips, prepared himself for a charity event that he thought would redeem him. He came to town expecting to showcase his philanthropy and sprinkle a little good among the townspeople. Yet, with every step he took toward the hospital, loneliness gnawed at him. The glittering success of his life felt shallow against the stories of Grace's family, real struggles grounded in love and connection. As Grace lay on the hospital bed, her parents held each other's hands tightly, fighting the impending storm. Grace's light blue eyes were full of innocent hope as she thought of the animals outside that needed her care. Little did she know that while she faced uncertainty, somewhere in the halls, Jack was watching, feeling something stir deep within him. When the technician entered, the monitor flickered to life, and the room held its breath. Grace's heart raced, her fingers clutching the blanket. The sterile smell of the hospital pressed in around them. With each heartbeat echoed through the room, Jack observed in silence, more intrigued than detached. What he realized overwhelmed him. Here was a family full of love facing unimaginable challenges that hit too close to home. Then it happened. The technician's brow furrowed. "We've found something unusual," she revealed, not knowing the weight of those words. As they explained the astonishing anomaly in Grace's leg, hope and dread collided like thunder. This discovery could lead to revolutionary treatment, but the costs? Overwhelming. Grace's family fidgeted. Jack felt a tightness in his chest. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Jack continued to watch, he saw the truth emerge. This family was rich in ways he never dreamed: love, devotion, and an unyielding spirit that shook him to his core. A beautiful girl with dreams that soared beyond the sky, trapped by circumstance. The stark contrast between their emotional wealth and his material excess sparked a revolution in his heart. His own choices and sacrifices loomed heavy over that hospital room. Did he want the glimmering riches of his isolation, or the warmth of a community's embrace? Grace's innocence tugged at something deep within him, urging him to take action. As she awaited final news, a breath hung in the air, the ticking clock merging their fates. Would Jack finally recognize what true fulfillment was? Would he take the leap and break the walls around his heart to help a girl who represented everything he lost? The question echoed, waiting to be answered. The silence in the room felt heavy, almost suffocating. Jack shifted slightly, heart hammering as he processed what he had witnessed. Grace's dreams, her family's struggles, and that flicker of hope mixed with fear. To him, it was an awakening. The perfect picture of innocence in that hospital bed was a mirror reflecting the emptiness he carried. He couldn't look away. Grace's parents murmured quietly, clinging to one another, their fears palpable. Jack could see the worry etched into their faces, the silent prayers they sent up to whatever powers existed, wishing for a miracle. He felt a sharp pang in his chest. Why was he standing back? Why was he not stepping forward to offer help? The technician continued to explain the findings, but Jack's mind drifted. The words blurred together. He thought about his life, lavish parties, expensive cars, and the relentless pursuit of more. None of it could compare to the lives these people fought to protect every single day. He had everything, yet felt so profoundly empty. Suddenly, without realizing the intention behind his actions, Jack found himself walking toward the doorway that connected their worlds. With each step, his heart beat louder, and doubts cascaded through his mind. What would he say? Would they welcome an interloper, a wealthy stranger with no roots to their small town? Yet, the urgency of Grace's situation drowned out the hesitation. If there were a chance to support her, he'd have to seize it. "Excuse me," he said, surprising even himself at the sound of his own voice cutting through the tension. Grace's parents turned, surprised yet curious. Their eyes widened slightly at the sight of the tall man. Stunned silence engulfed the room. Jack didn't know how to explain himself, how to articulate the torrent of emotions swirling within him. Was he truly ready to expose his vulnerability? I saw what the technician found," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "I want to help." Grace's mother blinked, uncertainty mixing with a flicker of hope. "Help? But how?" Jack took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage he could muster. "Your daughter deserves the best treatment possible. I want to cover the costs. Whatever it takes." A wave of disbelief washed over the room. Grace's father finally broke the silence, shaking his head slowly, as if processing a wild dream. "You don't have to do that. You barely know us." Jack's heart dropped. He had not expected this response and felt a strange mix of guilt. "I know enough," he replied earnestly, emotions surfacing. "I know what family means. I see your love. I see her spirit." Tears glistened in Grace's mother's eyes as she glanced at her husband. Hope intertwined with skepticism. Could this man truly mean what he said? Before Jack could elaborate, the door swung open wider. The medical team entered, urgency in their voices. "We need to move quickly, Grace. We have a plan in place." As they started to prepare Grace for further examination and possible treatments, Jack took a step back, the weight of their reactions heavy on his heart. He felt powerless, yet he knew he had made his choice. Would this family accept his help? Would Grace see the light of hope he desperately wanted to provide? In that moment, Jack realized he was standing at the crossroads of compassion, and his journey was only just beginning. He had extended a hand, but would it be accepted? As they whisked Grace away, Jack felt the foundations of his world shift. All he could think about was the next move. How could he help? And for the first time in a long time, there was something more important than his own desires on the line. Would he be able to rise above his past and truly invest in a future that mattered? The question lingered in the air, charging the atmosphere with possibilities and raw emotion. Jack stood in the now quiet room, the chaos of medical personnel fading into the background. The door swung shut behind them, sealing off the frantic energy that had just consumed the hallway. He was left in a limbo between the life he knew and the uncertainty ahead. The sterile scent of the hospital clung to him, amplifying the elevator music of his racing thoughts. What had just happened? As he turned to leave, a deep breath escaped him, releasing a mixture of dread and determination. He couldn't just walk away now. This wasn't a fleeting moment. He felt an attachment growing, a tether to Grace's family. Whether it was their desperate hope or the strength of their love that pulled him in, Jack didn't quite know. All he knew was that he wanted to make a difference even if it terrified him. He stepped out of the room and found himself in the bustling corridor, overwhelmed by the noise of hospital equipment and murmured conversations. He walked slowly, letting the surrealness of the situation sink in. Each exit sign he passed seemed to illuminate something inside him, flickering with a sense of purpose. "Excuse me, sir." A nurse brushed past him, her voice striking him like a bell. "Are you looking for someone?" Jack hesitated before offering a simple nod, still grappling with why he was there. I just want to know more about Grace. Is she going to be okay?" The nurse's expression softened. "We're doing everything we can. It's touch and go, but she is strong." Family means everything, though. Stick by them. Family. The concept echoed in his mind, hitting harder than any statement about wealth or achievement ever could. What was family to him? He had chased it away with every superficial conversation, every empty encounter. "Can I see her?" he finally asked, desire etched in his voice. "I'll check if that's possible," she smiled, and a moment later, gestured for him to wait. Jack's heart raced. Was he truly prepared to step further into their world? The waiting felt like an eternity, his foot tapping anxiously on the floor. When the nurse returned, her expression was open and welcoming. "Let us go. Just remember to be gentle. It may be a lot for her parents too." Jack swallowed hard and followed her, every step increasing the weight resting on his shoulders. As they approached the recovery room, he caught a glimpse of Grace's father, hunched over in silence, his hand tightly gripping Grace's mother's. There was a fragility there, an invisible bond stretching between love and fear. Once inside, Jack was struck by how small and fragile Grace seemed, lying there with machines buzzing softly, each beep a reminder of life yet veiled in uncertainty. Grace's eyes fluttered open at the sound of his approach. She blinked slowly, her brow furrowing with confusion before her gaze settled on him. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Jack. I'm here to," he faltered, the weight of his intentions grounding him. "To help." Her eyes shone with a flicker of trust that ignited a warmth in his chest. "Help? Why?" "Because I see you," he replied, emotions escaping like an uncoiled spring. "You're brave, and you deserve all the help you need." Tears pooled in her eyes. "I'm scared. Are you really going to help?" Jack nodded, feeling the walls of his heart crumble. "I promise I will. I just need you to hold on. Together we'll fight." Her small hand lifted weakly, pointing to a drawing resting on a nearby bedside. "I made that for my family." With a shared moment of silent understanding, he walked toward the drawing, picking it up with tender care. It was a simple, vibrant representation of what seemed to be a family connected, happy. In that instant, a realization washed over him. Grace's hope was a beacon, a light guiding him out of his own shadows. As he turned back to her, Jack felt a determination ignite within him. He was no longer just a spectator, he was deeply entangled in the fight for this girl's life. What color would their future take if he stepped fully into this role? He couldn't turn back now, but would Grace allow him to be a part of her story? The stakes felt monumental, and as those questions loomed, new paths began to reveal themselves. The beeping of the machines filled the room as Jack stood there, feeling Grace's gaze drill into him, drawing him closer to her fragile reality. He carefully placed her drawing back on the bedside, wondering about its significance. It was just crayon on paper, yet to Grace, it represented something deeper, a sense of belonging, perhaps, a world of comfort amid chaos. "Can you tell me about it?" he asked, nodding toward the drawing to keep her focused. "What does your family mean to you?" Grace hesitated. Jack could see her small hand tremble slightly, and he fought the instinct to reach out and hold it. She took a moment to gather her thoughts. They always make me feel safe," she murmured, her eyes flickering down to the drawing. "This was us at the park last summer. We were so happy." A smile crept onto her face. "We had a picnic. It was sunny, and even Bella brought her favorite ball." "Sounds perfect," Jack encouraged gently, his heart swelling at the image she painted. But now her voice strained, eyes clouding with uncertainty. "Now everything feels different." Jack could see a tear escaping down her cheek. He resisted the urge to wipe it away, knowing that she had to express this fear. "It's okay to feel scared, Grace. You're facing something huge. But don't forget, it's not just you in this fight. You have your family, and I'm here too." She nodded slowly, though still reeling from the weight of the moment. "I don't want them to worry about me. They need to be okay." A lump formed in Jack's throat. He wanted to promise her that everything would be all right, but the truth felt hard to pin down. Worry is part of love, Grace. They care so deeply, and that's what makes family special. You're not fighting alone. Jack could see the flicker of understanding in her eyes, a connection forming, fragile yet profound. In that moment, he realized he wasn't just there for her, she was teaching him too. Each small exchange added color to his own canvas. Suddenly, the door swung open and Grace's parents walked in, looking weary but with eyes shining with hope. The father's hand found the mother's, clasping tightly as they entered this new chapter together. Grace! Her mother rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her, gently. Jack stepped back, not wanting to intrude but wanting to be there, wanting to share in this moment. "Mom, I'm okay," Grace whispered, though her voice trembled. "I'm fighting." "Of course you are. You're the strongest girl I know," her mother replied, stroking her hair with ease, tears of relief mingling with those of fear. Jack stood to the side, feeling the warmth of their family envelop him. They belonged to one another in a way he had once thought impossible. The sight tugged at his heart, a painful yet joyful reminder of what he craved. He could feel a shift in the air, something electric after all. They were coming together, weaving stories and healing, creating a tapestry of hope. But could he really contribute to this profound connection? Would the bond continue to grow, or would he fade into the background? As a nurse entered with paperwork, the reality crashed over him again. "Jack, are you staying?" Grace looked up, her eyes pleading. He hesitated but felt a surge of determination. "I want to. I want to be part of this. For you." Her parents exchanged glances, weighing this new presence, the question of whether they could trust him hanging in the air. Jack's heart raced. Would they accept him as part of their family's journey? Would he help them bridge the gap from fear to hope, or would his struggles pull them back into dark waters? As the murmur of the nurse began to fade, one truth stood out vividly: Grace was his newfound purpose. "Okay, but I need you to put your best effort into your recovery," Jack urged, his voice firm yet soft. "We're in this together now." And behind those fragile smiles lay the dawning of a new chapter, one that could change everything. But just as hope began to blossom, a loud alarm blared through the room, cutting through the moment like a knife. Jack's breath caught. What was about to happen? The alarm blared louder, a harsh intrusion that shattered the delicate moment. Jack's heart raced. He turned toward the nurse, who was moving swiftly to a console, her fingers tapping furiously at the keys. The calm in the room shattered, replaced by tension as her brow furrowed in concentration. "Stay here, Grace," she commanded, her voice sharp yet protective. Jack felt a pang of fear, looking back at Grace, whose eyes were wide with uncertainty, like a deer caught in headlights. He reached out, giving her hand a gentle squeeze, just for a moment, before stepping back. He needed to let the professionals do their job. Grace's parents were already by her side, drawing close, their faces a mix of anxiety and fierce love. Jack could see them reassuring her, whispering words that seemed to hang in the air. It was clear they wouldn't let fear rule this moment. "What's happening?" Jack dared to ask, his voice barely above a whisper, a plea for clarity amid the chaos. The nurse shot him a glance, her focus unwavering. "It's just a precaution, but we need to check something with the monitors. Please wait." As they all held their breath, Jack huddled close to the door, wishing he could hear their words more clearly. He glanced at the drawing on the bedside. The simple strokes of crayon felt suddenly heavy with the weight of everything at stake. This wasn't just about recovering from an illness, it was about holding on to hope when hope felt so fragile. After what felt like an eternity, another nurse entered, her presence shifting the energy in the room. She was calm, and her gentle demeanor seemed to ease some of the tension. "We're going to conduct an ultrasound, Grace." She smiled reassuringly. "You'll see some pictures of your insides on the screen. It'll help us understand how you're doing." Grace squinted slightly, but curiosity broke through the haze of worry. Like looking at a picture of the baby? She asked, a hint of innocent wonder brightening her features. Exactly. The nurse responded warmly. So, let us take a look, shall we? With a soft and careful touch, they prepared Grace for the procedure. Jack stepped back as the room metamorphosed into a blend of machinery and grounded hope, yet he refused to let his gaze drift far from her. In that moment, he understood her journey deeper than before. This wasn't only a fight against illness, it was about learning to embrace the uncertainty and trust in the love that surrounded her. Grace's parents held her hands tightly, their expressions filled with determination as they faced the fear together. Jack felt the swell of admiration for them, for their unyielding spirit. In the face of uncertainty, they were embodying resilience. When the nurse placed the wand on Grace's small abdomen, the machine emitted a soothing sound, one that felt almost melodic in the chaos. Images began to flicker on the screen, a swirling combination of heartbeats and shapes that seemed both surreal and magical. "Look, Grace!" her mother exclaimed, squeezing her hand. "You're so strong. That's your heart beating." Grace's eyes widened as she stared at the monitor. Jack felt a rush of relief and joy radiate through him. This was what it meant to heal, to be anchored in love, and to witness miracles however small manifest in the midst of fear. Just then, Jack had an epiphany. It was more than just about supporting Grace. It was about being part of a tapestry that extended beyond him. He could make a difference. He decided he would learn everything he could about her journey, dive into the world that surrounded her, and be her advocate. The nurse turned toward him, catching his eye. "Would you like to come closer, Jack?" His heart skipped. "I can. Absolutely." As he stepped forward, joining the family amidst the hum of machinery and the flickering images, his own hope mingling with theirs, he realized something profound. But just as he shifted his focus toward the screen, a loud crash echoed from the hallway. The door burst open, and a frantic doctor rushed inside, her face taut with urgency. "Where is she?" the doctor demanded. Scanning the room. "We have a situation." Jack's breath caught once more. What new challenge had arrived? Jack's heart raced, the air thick with uncertainty. The doctor's frantic demeanor sent a chill down his spine. He barely registered Grace's parents gripping her hands tighter, their eyes darting between the doctor and their daughter. "Who are we missing?" the doctor continued, her voice holding a rising urgency that felt like a countdown. Jack's mind swirled, scanning the room, searching for anyone else. The atmosphere felt electric. We're all here," said Grace's father, his voice trembling slightly. No, I need." The doctor shook her head, frustration clouding her features. "Where's the other patient? We weren't told they were stable enough to move." Her voice trailed off, raising the stakes of the already tense situation. Jack caught Grace's eyes, wide and fearful. "What's happening?" he asked, trying to project calm, though his insides churned. The doctor turned, her brow furrowed. "We're trying to stabilize a multiple trauma case from an accident down the street. The patient is in critical condition. We thought we had more time." Grace's parents exchanged worried glances. Jack felt helpless, anchored yet frantic, every instinct telling him to act but unsure how. He focused on Grace, whose sweet innocence and curiosity had flooded the room only moments ago. "Am I okay?" she whispered, her voice fragile. "Of course," he replied, trying to inject assurance. "You're strong, remember? Look at the screen." He gestured to the monitor, where the flickering images continued to dance, a testament to her resilience, but just as the ultrasound displayed her tiny heartbeat, a blaring alarm echoed through the halls once again. The nurse, who had been monitoring the machine, paled, her hands moving quickly to assess the situation. "Dr. Larkin," she called, urgency lacing her voice. Jack watched in stunned silence as the doctor rushed over to her, their conversation a flurry of medical terms and hidden fears. That's when it sank in. The weight of reality pressed down, and the fine line of hope and despair blurred. An accident, another life hanging in the balance. Could they save Grace while fighting to stabilize this unknown patient? Grace's mother stood, a fierce protective spirit igniting in her. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice strong yet trembling, echoing the determination that swelled in every one of them. "We need to clear the hallway. If the other patient comes here, we're going to need open access." The doctor was already moving, hollering commands as if she were orchestrating a symphony of chaos. Jack sensed that every moment counted. Jack's heart ached as he watched the doctor disappear down the hallway, a warrior rushing into battle. "Grace, we're here with you," he said, holding her tiny hand in both of his. "You are not alone." But at that moment, the harsh blare of alarms faded, replaced by a new sound, the unmistakable hum of a helicopter landing on the rooftop. Jack's stomach knotted. It was a game of life and death, and they were caught in the crossfire. "Please, don't leave me," Grace said softly, tears pooling in her innocent eyes. "I promise." "I won't leave," he urged, feeling his own heart constrict. "We're going to get through this, together." Then, as if propelled by fate, he felt a sense of purpose wash over him. This was more than just support. This was a fight that demanded courage, a moment to step up. Jack took a deep breath, tightening his grip on Grace's hand, but just as determination set him on fire, the doors pushed open again. The doctor returned, urgency etched into every line of her face, but this time, she wasn't alone. Beside her walked another figure, one that sent goosebumps racing up Jack's arms. "Jack!" The newcomer shouted, his voice reverberating through the tense atmosphere. "We need to talk. It's about Grace and what you need to know." Jack's pulse quickened. What secret was about to unravel before them all? The air thickened with anticipation, hanging heavy with the promise of change. What lay ahead could alter everything. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, urgency dancing through the air like an electric pulse. He recognized the voice, a familiar echo from his past that pulled him from the chaos around him. It was Ryan, his childhood friend turned successful entrepreneur, now standing in the emergency room. Ryan's sharp suit seemed out of place among the stark white walls and sterile atmosphere, but the gravity of the moment was evident in his expression. "What do you know?" Jack demanded, his voice steadying despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. Ryan stepped closer, eyes darting to Grace, who still lay vulnerable on the hospital bed, tears shimmering in her eyes. "It's complicated. But there are things we've never talked about. Things your family never told you." Grace's parents leaned in, their expressions shifting from fear to worried confusion. Jack gripped Grace's hand tighter, feeling it tremble under his touch. "Whatever it is, we need to hear it now," he pushed, feeling the stakes rise higher. "Okay," Ryan took a deep breath, his composure faltering for just a moment. "Grace, she's special. There's more to her than you know." Jack frowned, the words twisting in his mind. "What do you mean?" When Ryan opened his mouth to respond, a loud whoosh interrupted them, the distinct sound of the helicopter blades fading away, replaced by the sirens of ambulances outside. The reality hung heavy in the air, mixing with the unknown swirling between them. "I think she's entirely capable of saving herself," Ryan continued, a determination hardening his gaze. "Her DNA, it might carry a legacy. A legacy that connects to yours." Jack blinked, feeling all the blood rush from his face. What are you talking about?" Before he could process it, Grace's monitor beeped again, more erratic this time, the sound slicing through the tension like glass. A nurse rushed in, momentarily breaking the charged atmosphere as she adjusted the equipment with brief deft movements. "Stay with us, Grace," she urged gently, though Jack noticed the strain in her eyes. Turning back to Ryan, Jack felt his heart race. "What do you mean, my legacy?" "Jack, your family has roots that connect to something significant. Your grandfather, he was involved in projects that, well, some say they weren't just about technology. About healing too. Projects? Jack shook his head, his confusion only deepening. What does that have to do with Grace? I don't know exactly. But I think it's in her blood. Maybe even her gifts come from that lineage. Jack glanced at Grace, her tiny face contorted in worry, and a wave of protectiveness washed over him. You can't just drop this in my lap and expect me to understand. What are you saying? That she is special? That she has powers or something? Ryan nodded, his expression steady despite the chaos. Maybe. If it's true, it could mean she holds a key, Jack. You have to believe it. She may be the one to change everything for all of us. But she needs you right now more than ever. In that moment, the weight of the revelation sunk deep into Jack's soul. Could Grace truly be more than a fragile girl in a hospital bed? Could she be the bearer of something powerful, a legacy waiting to unfold? Please, Jack whispered, locking eyes with Grace, trying to push strength into her through a gaze. We'll figure this out. I promise. But before he could say anything more, the doctor burst back into the room, panic dancing behind her eyes. We need to stabilize her immediately. Now. Jack's heart dropped. Will she be okay? He shouted, fear pooling within him. They're on their way. But we need to act fast. The doctor's voice was sharp, pulling Jack back to the urgency at hand. A moment stretched endlessly as he stood between his past and an unknown, the weight of Ryan's words heavy in the air. Could Grace be more than just a little girl fighting for her life? What truths lay buried in their intertwined histories? Maybe this was just the beginning. And as the doctor hustled to get every hand on deck, Jack prepared himself for whatever storm was coming. He wouldn't let Grace go without a fight. What would he discover next? And how would it change everything he thought he knew? Jack's mind raced as the doctor began barking orders, urgency suffusing the room. He felt a crushing pressure in his chest, anxiety pooling like molten metal. Every instinct screamed at him to do something, anything, yet he felt rooted to the spot, fear splaying wide in his limbs. A flurry of medical staff surged into the room, their chatter a cacophony against the chaos of Jack's thoughts. He grasped Grace's hand tighter, drawing strength from her small, fragile form. I'm here, Grace. I'm not going anywhere, he whispered, the words barely escaping his lips, but as the doctor worked to stabilize her, Jack's eyes darted back to Ryan. What the hell do you mean she has a legacy? What are we dealing with here? The question hung in the air, heavy and pressing. Ryan stepped closer, almost moving between Jack and the fury of the medical team. Jack, listen. I didn't want to say anything until now, but your grandfather, he was a part of something larger. Something that ties you both together. Grace might be the link to that legacy. Jack shook his head in disbelief. This is insane. She's just a little girl. His voice cracked, desperation squeezing his throat. Jack, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Ryan's eyes bore into him, intensity rising. What if her specialness is real? What if she can help us understand what your grandfather was involved in? What if that's why she is fighting so hard right now? Two nurses moved past them, a bed of equipment wheeling in. Jack's heart raced as he caught a glimpse of Grace's monitor, her heartbeat now wavering. Each beat resonated in his bones like a funeral knell. I want to lose her, he murmured, grip tightening around her tiny hand, as if holding on could anchor her to life. Ryan nodded, resolute. You want together, we'll uncover whatever this is. Moments passed, marked only by the frantic whispers of the staff, the machinery beeping, and Jack's spiraling thoughts. What did it mean for Grace to be special? Was she truly part of a legacy? His mind drifted to memories of his grandfather's stories laden with mystery, always just out of reach. Then, cutting through the uncertainty, something strange stirred in Jack's gut. A feeling he hadn't anticipated: hope. Despite the chaos, despite the fear, something about Ryan's words sparked an ember in his heart. Could Grace be more than just his anchor? Could she be their hope? The doctor called for a heart monitor, urgency flaring in the room. Let us stabilize her vitals now. Jack watched as hands moved with precision, every action choreographed to save Grace's life. He could see the fight in Grace, even behind closed eyes, and he sent a silent vow through their connection. Hold on, Grace. You have to hold on. But then the door swung open again, revealing a tall figure dressed in white, a man with an air of authority, carrying a tablet filled with swirling lines of data. What are we dealing with here? He demanded, any semblance of pleasantry lost in the storm of urgency. The doctor stepped aside, handing over quick details. Jack felt the room tighten as this new figure entered the space, an aura of command surrounding him. Who was he? What did he bring to the chaos? Time is critical, the man stated, gaze shifting over to Grace, and Jack felt an unsettling shiver creep down his spine. It was as if he was looking at something dark and ominous. Will she be okay? Jack finally asked, his voice cracking, vulnerability seeping through the cracks. He needed answers. The man nodded slowly, but there was something in his eyes. Something that suggested more than just medical knowledge. If we can get to her in time, yes. But we might need more than just conventional methods. Jack's heart pounded with new urgency. What other methods? What did they mean? The weight of the situation began to dawn on him even more profoundly. As the medical staff worked seamlessly, a wave of fear washed over him. The gravity of the unknown loomed. Grace may indeed hold a legacy that could change everything, but could that legacy save her? Jack's thoughts grappled between desperation and an inkling of hope. There was a truth waiting to be unveiled. But what would it mean for Grace? For him, the answer felt closer than ever as the stakes rose higher. And just then, as if summoned by the dark cloud of uncertainty, a single thought pierced Jack's mind: could Grace truly save herself and them all? Or were they all merely pawns in a much larger game? The presence of the mysterious man heightened the tension, a question lingering in the air: was he a savior, or just another piece of the puzzle yet to be solved? Jack's heart thudded in his chest as the man in white continued to speak, his voice clipped yet clear. We need to act fast. Get me the enhanced ultrasound. We might catch a glimpse of what we're dealing with. The urgency of the situation felt electric. Jack glanced at Grace, her face pale and small against the sheets, memories of her laughter haunting him. Not this, not now. He fought to keep the panic at bay, but doubt clawed at his mind. What did they mean by more than just conventional methods? Ryan stepped closer, his brow furrowed in concern. Jack, focus. We need you to keep calm for Grace. Keep calm? Jack shot back, his breath heavy with frustration. How am I supposed to do that when my daughter is lying there, fighting for her life, and no one will tell me what's going on? But Ryan's steady gaze grounded him. Because she needs you to be strong. Remember what I said about her being part of something bigger? Everything you've ever wanted to know about your grandfather and yourself might hinge on what's happening right now. Jack nodded slightly, clenching Grace's hand tighter, feeling the warmth seep away. The doctor's voice broke through his thoughts again. We're ready for the ultrasound. Within seconds, the nurses wheeled in a machine that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. Jack's eyes widened as screens flickered to life, casting a blue glow across the room. He felt both hope and dread mingle in his chest. As the doctor moved close to Grace, Jack leaned in, desperate for any sign that she was still with them. Come on, baby. You've got this, he whispered. The doctor pressed the wand against Grace's tiny body, glancing between the screen and Jack. Now, we focused. The tension in the room thickened. Jack held his breath, waiting for something, anything. The rhythmic beeping of the monitor kept time, providing a background score to his swirling emotions. And then it happened. The screen warped, and shapes began to form, swirling like clouds on a stormy day. There, amidst the chaos of colors, a heartbeat appeared. Strong. Steady. Is that? Jack stammered, hope blooming. Yes. The doctor's voice was tight with focus. This is where we'll know more about her legacy. Jack's grip on Grace's hand tightened as he watched the screen closely. Suddenly, he gasped. There was something floating near Grace's heart, a flicker of light that pulsed with her heartbeat. What is that? He asked, his voice shaking. That's what we're trying to figure out, the doctor replied, adjusting the settings on the machine. It could be the reason she's struggling. Or it might be why she's persisting. Jack felt a rush of warmth fill him. Some part of Grace, a hidden piece of her, connected to his grandfather, could be fighting for her. She wasn't just his daughter, she was a beacon of something larger. As images shifted on screen, they saw a series of deeper waves connecting to the flicker. Almost instinctively, Jack's mind raced back to the stories of his grandfather's work, shadows of hidden projects and rumors that he'd brushed off over the years. What if it was real? What if Grace embodied a legacy he couldn't fully comprehend? Jack, look. Ryan's voice broke through again, urgency lacing his words. There's more. We need to dig deeper into what's happening inside her. At that moment, the delicate balance of emotions brimming over. Hope surged within Jack, but it came tangled with new fears. What was this legacy? What could it mean for Grace's future? He opened his mouth to ask, but the words got stuck in his throat. Instead, he found solace in the steady beeping of Grace's heart, a reminder that she was still with him, still fighting. But the unease lingered. The man in white was still watching, his expression unreadable, as if he held secrets that could turn their world upside down. Are we prepared for the next steps? The man asked, looking directly at the doctor. Jack felt his heart skip. Next steps? Was there something more they had to do? What if this was only the beginning? What if the truth behind Grace's condition was only about to unfold, and with it, a truth about Jack's own heritage? A shiver danced down Jack's spine as he gazed at the monitor, questions swirling like a never-ending storm. What did the flicker mean? Would it illuminate a path to save Grace, or would it plunge them deeper into a world he was too frightened to explore? His grip around Grace's hand tightened even more, ready to fight for every piece of this legacy waiting to be uncovered. Jack struggled to comprehend the weight of everything unfolding before him. Grace lay anchored in her hospital bed, her pulse steady but faint. The monitor's rhythmic beeping was a reminder of her fight against an invisible enemy, a fight that now intertwined with the truths about Jack's family legacy. As the doctor refined the ultrasound settings, everyone in the room held their breath, acutely aware that the tiniest flicker on the screen, something dark against the backdrop of light, could reveal everything. What does that mean? Jack asked again, his voice choked with hope and worry. It's too soon to tell, the doctor admitted, but her expression held a glimmer of something, curiosity, perhaps? If it is connected to her lineage, it might be significant in how we approach her treatment. Jack's heart raced. Suddenly, Grace became more than just a victim of circumstance, she was a nexus of history, mystery, and possibility. He glanced at Ryan, who stood with an intensity in his eyes that spoke of something deeper. What do we do now? Jack whispered, the urgency slicing through the air. Ryan stepped forward, placing a supportive hand on Jack's shoulder. We keep fighting. This is a sign. It means something. Jack felt a flicker of warmth at Ryan's words, possibilities swirling around them like sparks igniting a fire. The doctor turned to Jack, resolution etched into her brow. We need to get her stabilized before we can dig deeper. If there's a legacy here that can aid her, we must preserve her strength to explore it. But a part of Jack wasn't satisfied. Fear rushed in, clamoring for attention. But what if we lose her while we find out more? The doubt clung to him, a familiar weight he hadn't felt in a long time. Grace's eyelids fluttered, catching Jack's focus. He leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I'm here. I want to let go, he whispered, the conviction rising within him. As Jack's gaze met Grace's, he saw her stirring, a flicker of recognition lighting within her blue eyes. Jack? She asked, her voice weak but filled with shimmering hope. Yes, Grace. It's me, he replied, trying to convey all the love and determination he felt. We're going to figure this out together. I promise. Suddenly, the tension in the room shifted. The doctor gripped his tablet tightly and turned to the new figure, the man in white. We need support from your department. If there's any power within that flicker, we need to mobilize it. Jack felt the air crackle with urgency. What does that mean for Grace? He implored. It means finding ways to harness whatever potential exists within her, the man in white replied, his tone oddly soothing yet mysterious. We will explore treatments that blend conventional with unconventional methods. But we need to act now. Grace's fingers twitched, as if she felt the weight of the moment herself. I'm strong, she mumbled, struggling to connect with the layers of what was happening. Yes, Grace. You're a warrior, Jack whispered, blinking back tears. This fragile girl before him was more than he ever realized. She was sparking hope, illuminating a road previously obscured by darkness. The medical team surged around her, coordinates being communicated in a flurry of urgency, and Jack felt the adrenaline wrap him in urgency. I won't abandon you, he repeated, pushing away the fear threatening to overwhelm him. Then, as the room buzzed with intensified action, Ryan stepped in closer. We believe you, Grace, he said. Whatever it takes, we'll uncover the truths hiding within you. You have the legacy, we'll work together to see it flourish. And for the first time, Jack embraced the idea of what Grace could be, not just for herself but for the community, for their future. He felt imbued with purpose, electrifying as he grasped her tiny hand between his. We're fighting this. All of us. As the doctor began preparations for every potential outcome, Jack felt a shift within himself. No longer just an observer drowning in his wealth of loneliness, he was a player on a broader stage, one linked intricately to the girl whose fight now became his own. The flicker on the screen pulsed once more, matching the rhythm of Grace's heartbeat, and Jack sensed something momentous stirring. A world bursting at the seams with promise, waiting to be spilled out like colors across a canvas. In that exact moment, hope anchored itself deep in Jack's heart. They weren't helpless. Their combined strength could weave a future far brighter than the shadows lingering behind each unknown. Jack squeezed Grace's hand tighter. Let us rewrite the story, he declared softly, and with that, the room breathed in sync, the determination rising among everyone gathered. And as they joined together, an unspoken bond formed, igniting a fight that heralded a collective transformation. Now, it was time for action. For Jack, for Grace, for the family they would become. As the doctor called out again and the team surged forward, Jack realized this was just the beginning. And he would be damned if he let it end any other way. Do you feel inspired by this story? This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this journey. Comment below sharing your thoughts and reactions. You need to let us know what this ending means for you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is everything.